my mic was muted the whole damn time. So there we go. Okay, so this is your host Gabe Whitley. Today is our season finale with Hoosier Enquirer. So here we go. We're gonna have a special guest named Chris come on, and then of course Johannes is coming on. Let me just find him real quick. Okay, here we go. Nope, nope, that ain't it. Okay. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Come on, dang thing. There we go. Okay. Let's see what's going on. You there, Johannes? Alright, let's try to get you on here. Okay, here we go. Johannes, you there?
Yep.
Okay, we are live. Okay, let me go right here and see what's going on. So, how's your day, Johannes?
Okay, just exhausted.
Okay, I think Chris is still.
Haven't been without have been without insulin for 2 weeks now. So
Oh, wow, why is
it's
that?
very hard for me to control my sugar. So when you have a lot of sugar in your system, you get very tired.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My, yeah, I have a couple family members that are, what do you call it? Um, diabetic as well. My what's his name? My aunt Leanna, she was a decent she took care of her diabetes, but I know a couple people that are terrible, terrible bad diabetics that just don't know how to, take care of
Well,
themselves.
that's the thing. You gotta take care of it. It can be managed.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we got a couple things to talk about while we wait for our guest to send in another request to come in. Okay, so couple things is what we're seeing tonight. Okay, so the Secretary of State's race that is very, very, very interesting, and I believe it's interesting because of I don't want to do this. Okay, so Giannis, I know we were talking about it a little bit earlier. What's your takes on the Secretary of State's race? I know we have Diego Morales running. We got Jamie Ritten Nauer that just announced recently that she's running, and we have David Shelton who has experience in running these campaigns in the convention because he ran last time against Holly Sullivan, him and Diego. What are your thoughts now? With David Shelton running.
Well, I met David Shelton at the LaPorte County GOP breakfast a couple months ago. He gave a speech there, and I liked what he had to say. But and I like Diego Morales, but the thing is I'm kind of disappointed that Diego didn't do all the things to secure the elections that he said he would do.
Yeah, like if
And
you
my
don't mind me
biggest
asking, like
concern,
what?
I have I have two major concerns. Okay, living in Northwest Indiana, um, we have a lot of Chicago Democrats that have bought homes in Northwest Indiana. The real rich limousine liberals um, have bought property in Michiana Shores, in Chesterton, uh, in Beverly Shores, in Porter, in Ogden Dunes, and so on, all along the lake. And you have other Democrats that are buying property in Portage and in Lake County, of course, which Lake County is already corrupt to begin with.
Oh yeah, Lake
Um,
County's terrible.
Lake County is probably one of the most corrupt counties in the state.
I'll never forget when we did a caravan up there. The president of Hammond City Council president city council member threatened to
The
him
mayor, you mean?
and the mayor, yeah, and Mayor McDermott threatened to put my ass in Newton County, and then the what do you call it? The apartment complex that was supposed to be built out there, it's just insane. Okay, hold on. Let me.
Yeah.
Okay, here comes Chris. I was trying to pull that up real quick. Okay, here we go.
Hey,
Hey, Chris, how's it going? We're live,
good,
right?
good. Sorry, guys.
Oh no, you're good. We are live right now.
Oh, well, perfect. Thank you for taking the time.
No problem. Okay, so
Well, commission, um, quite quite a while back, and I just feel like that they really just I'm not issue that I had with me, and every time is just it, it's less communication each time, and so I'm not even really sure like what the point of the commission really is anymore.
what happened with the commission? Who'd you deal with, and what all entailed with it? If you don't mind us asking.
Sure. So I'm not the best with I'm probably saying her name wrong, Adrienne Meyering. I've tried several times to contact her directly and through the commission as to explain some of the decisions that she made and some of the reasons why some other things were done with the commission. And every time, like I said, it was just less and less information. And I mean, like in the short time that we've been on this communication, there's like 90% more communication between you and I just here than the entire, I want to say like 10, 12 months. Do you mind like if I just take 1 second? I'll be right back.
Yeah, that's fine. Gives me a little bit of time to crop this up. I don't know why my camera ain't working on Teams. This is just ridiculous.
Maybe you need to get a new
Say that again, Johannes.
camera.
Sorry, I just had
Two different cameras up here. That's
involving legal disputes with uh, attorneys. So after I got that, I tried to reach out to the commission and let the director know that I wasn't trying to get a decision from her or the commission as to who is right, who is wrong, or anything like that. Really, I just kind of gave her some background information as to like what happened, and let like really let it be up to her to say, okay, well, you have enough evidence here. And so one of the things that was for misconduct was um, lying to the EOC, and the EOC has a very strict procedure that if you get caught lying to them, that it could jeopardize anything in the future.
very interesting.
Am I good to hold, or do you want me to still, or do you want me to keep going while you
No, no,
work
keep
out
going.
your?
Keep going. I was able to
Okay,
catch
gotcha,
it. Yeah, yeah.
gotcha. Gotcha. So I'm not sure like of the exact statute, but if you were to Google EOC lie, it would come up like an official um, thing that somebody had written into the EOC and asked specifically like about a disability. But they said if you get caught lying about anything, it could jeopardize your credit going forward, as well as
You can be charged with perjury on the federal level as well too.
well, unless you're an attorney in Indiana.
True, but a person that also, whenever you submit a complaint, it says on the very bottom, right before you submit, is everything Is everything truthful and accurate? If anything's false,
Oh, sure.
you will violate, federal law under
Sure.
U.S. section was it 1800? It's basically what I was charged with.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. So of another matter,
but
So do not.
but it's so interesting. Like if the EOS, if the commission like even just looked at it that way and said, you know what, like there's no way that everything happened the way that they claimed that it did, and so is it okay if I say like who the attorney is?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so maybe you guys have heard of this little law firm up there in Indiana. It's called Ogletree Dinkins.
Is it based out of Indianapolis?
They have a home base there. They have like 13 offices throughout the country, probably even more than that. They're supposed to be like one of the nation's largest law firms, and it just so happens to be the one in Indianapolis. The managing shareholder is Bonnie. Bonnie. Oh, what's her last name? Sorry, the name just escaped me. Bonnie Martin. And but the attorney that happened to that I'm really saying that totally misled the EOC, which completely tainted my case. Her name is Jennifer Romanek. Um, and so after trying to speak with Miss Romanek, like way prior to the commission, I reached out to her directly. I reached out to others at her firm directly, and it turned out that Bonnie Martin is the managing shareholder at Ogletree Dinkins. And so after I involved her, the EOC really wrapped up the case. And like if you Google somebody or you Google like say like my employer at the time, which was Ambridge Hospitality, and you happen to Google them and Ogletree Dinkins, you happen to just see some other cases. Um, there's nothing on there that you know correlates directly, but there's enough there to say that Ogletree and the Department of Labor and the EOC have met before.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so like that was like my first time talking with the commission. So then after I didn't really get any kind of answer as to why, once they sent me the decision that they weren't going to go forward, I filed an appeal. And this appeal was done through Director Myring again and the commission. So at this point, I had gone on through and found others on the commission and their email address, and I sent it to Director Myring directly, and then CC'd a string of people. And at that point, Director Myring kind of quit communication with me altogether. And several calls to the office, of course, went unreturned or um, maybe just like with the OC, there was a phone issue. I don't know what happened there. But from that point on, I started talking to the assistant director, and that would be Assistant Director Johnson,
Okay.
who also, yep, who kind of just spoke very vaguely in vague terms. And as of recently, and by recently I mean May the 15th of 2025, the disciplinary commission sent me this letter, and it says on May the 9th, 2025, the disciplinary commission as a body decided to and did reconsider the dismissal of your grievances against Bonnie Martin, and your material is made available to the commission. After thorough and careful consideration, the commission unanimously reaffirmed the previous dismissal of the grievance. And so the most that I could get out of the assistant director was that he brought everything to their attention, and as a body all of them voted together to not even hear my case.
Yep.
Jesus.
Yeah, and so it's not like that. Like I brought all the evidence to them and saying like this is what happened on this day at this time, and this is the part in the position statement where the attorney lied. This is how I know that she lied, and this is my direct evidence against it. But all throughout my statement, I put on there, and I've sent it to you, I believe. And all throughout it is stated, like I know that I'm not asking you to be judge, jury, executioner. I'm just saying like, look, this is the fact. Is here's the law. Here's my interpretation of the Indiana Code of Conduct, and here's what the attorney did. Here's what the managing shareholder did, and here's why I think that they were in violation, and I feel like that they should be held accountable.
Yeah.
And the commission just wrote back, yeah, we're not even like, thanks for sending all this, and thanks for the hours of work that you put into it, the hours of organization. Yeah, but no, we're not even going to waste our time on it.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It is a shame with the with this commission. in Indiana, the disciplinary commission is inside. I think it's either the regional building or the Fifth Third Tower, and you can't even get in there at all. You have to make an
Oh,
appointment, do all that fun stuff. I tried to get in, and I had to take Miss Adrian Meering to court, all that lovely stuff. And they just protect whoever they want to. And I'm actually um, on the list.
well,
I'm actually on the list for people that they're not allowed to let into their offices. So
oh, interesting.
if I go in the front receptionist, they're gonna ask me to leave. Now I haven't been told I'm trespassed. They just say that I'm on the list that they don't talk to anymore.
Right. Well, that's interesting because like as you're saying that, I'm thinking of those videos like Audit the Auditor. Like those videos where people are like using their First Amendment, going around saying,
Yeah.
like filming, like getting kicked out of public places, like trying to hold people accountable.
Well, and the thing is, this is a public entity. This is a government entity, and they're shielding themselves in a private property.
Hmm. Well, it's interesting that you say that too, because like the last conversation that I had with the commission, I did let them know that like I would be going forward, and like with these watchdog groups and with anybody with the media, and start posting on Facebook and like social media, not to like slander or hold liable. I mean, you're more than welcome to like try, but I mean, there's nothing that I can say that is not going to be true or that can be traced back somewhere, like that can be proven. So I have no interest to like slander or talk bad about them. But however, I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of people that have been
But
affected by this commission, and this commission does
well, when
nothing.
well, when I signed the last communication with it, I told Assistant Director Johnson, I said, and congratulations on your new role, because I don't think Director Myring will be in it for very long.
Well, she's still in it, arrogant as she is. Now, when I was going over some of the paperwork that you sent me, I saw that you sent it to former Congressman, what's his last name? Joshua Claiborne?
I knew that we were going to probably talk about that. So actually, like if you look at this folder, um, right here, all of these paperwork.
Yeah.
These are like different people that I've reached out to, and it goes from my state senate, Congress. I have a couple here from different state agencies, the Department of Consumer Affairs, um, and yes, I did reach out to Representative Clyburn on March the 11th, briefly after the commission, as well as on June the 25th of 24 and July 1st of 2024. He was kind enough to send it on his own fancy paper and everything. Recycled paper, by the way, they
Yeah,
claim.
I was going over the documents and I thought it was a little, that was pretty
Well, I didn't get
interesting.
anywhere. In the last 2 minutes, I spent more time talking with you over the last 2 minutes than I have the last, going on 2 years now, with the congressman's office
Wow.
about it.
That is just, and I believe somebody's replacing him, right? After he passed away.
Um, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think that he passed. I think that was or maybe he did.
No,
I'm
I
not sure.
believe he
I
passed
think
away last year.
I think that was oh, I can't
So
think of
we
his
got
last
two
name.
congressmen that passed away
We
from
had a lot
Indiana
of,
then?
Johannes, we had a lot of congressmen that passed away. There was a total of five
Well, I know there was
Democratic
Jackie
congressmen.
Walorski was killed in an accident.
Johannes, as of this year, five Democratic congressional people, incumbents, have died.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Just
Interesting.
curious if they were vaccinated.
But going through and making the contact that we did, I am curious. Did were there any others that reached out?
We've actually had uh hold
So
on,
I'm not the
I'm
first, is what
just
I'm trying to get at.
no, you're good. Hold on. I'm researching
Yeah.
Josh Claiborne to see if he had passed away.
Oh, James Clyburn. Yeah.
James, my bad, James. Yeah, yeah.
No, it's okay. I know who you're talking about. Though. I think you're talking about the civil rights guy.
Yes, yeah.
I can't think of his name right off the top of my head, but
Oh, maybe he did pass away. Maybe I'm wrong.
Not. I wouldn't say wrong. I would just say like, just briefly mistaken.
No, no, you're good. I just no, he's still alive. Oh wait, hold on.
Yeah, it would be the
Nope.
civil rights guy that just had some stuff named after him.
Yeah. Okay, nope. He is no, he's alive. I was thinking of somebody else. There was another civil rights man that passed away last
I
year.
do know who you're talking about though. Yeah.
He was very famous. I can't remember his
Oh
name.
yeah, yeah, he was.
Oh goodness. Okay, so yeah, so you went through a lot of steps. You went through several offices. You went to you did like whatever you did what
That's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a list of like 25 different either political offices or other avenues that I've taken before I found my way to you. And by far, you've listened to me more than any of them.
So what other news networks have you reached out to?
Um, well, the ones that I have reached out to are in Texas, but none in Indiana. And I chose Texas because that's where the company Ambridge Hospitality was located.
Okay.
And so there's a couple watchdogs down there that I've reached out to, and I kind of just left it because I was going to try to see what happened with the commission, and I kind of lost some traction there. But I mean, that could be my own for not staying in touch. But um,
It happens.
I was trying
Sometimes
to
we
get
live.
benefit of the doubt.
Life happens, and sometimes we get busy, caught up in life too. We,
Sure, sure,
and I know I've had to let some things go because life continues on, and with something like
yeah,
this important, you have to hold the fire because these government officials they don't like to do their job. They like to move very slow, right,
right.
Johannes,
Yeah, they like to live off of our tax dollars.
and do
But
nothing.
see, like all this time, energy, and effort, like they could have, like Director Myron could have spent 10 minutes talking to me about it. They could have talked to the opposing side. But I mean, like while my case was still active and while I was talking with the EOC, I emailed, even though like to this day, I've still not said one word to Bonnie Martin or Jennifer Romanek. Neither one of them ever returned any of my calls. They did send me one email through the EOC that they would just prefer like all my communication be through the EOC. And even with that communication, I still took their position statement that they wrote against me, and I highlighted the parts that were inaccurate. And I even emailed her direct evidence showing like where she was wrong. So either her client didn't give her all the information, and she was just working off what she had, or she was intentionally just ignoring evidence. And so I was trying to give benefit of the doubt, and I gave months and months and months before I even reached out to any of these other people, just to give benefit of the doubt. And then after time ran out, she didn't even go on to amend her statement or anything.
So the one
So
thing
it's
I
just
learned
like that
about
she knew, like that they had done wrong, and she was good. She was going to do anything for her client, lie, cheat, steal, whatever.
So, Chris, one of the things I've learned about the commission is when you file a complaint, you want to submit in, excuse me, everything that
Hmm.
you can at once because the
I
commission has a rule, and what that rule is, once you submit everything in it, once you press that submit of complaint, they cannot talk to you, they cannot do anything to you, they cannot communicate with you. I don't know what it is, why they have that rule. It's the most stupidest rule I've ever heard, but it's to basically, stop all communications. They're not allowed to communicate with you. What they'll do is
Well,
they'll
it
have
helps them protect their own, I guess.
exactly, and what they'll do is they'll have an assistant reach out to you to gather more information, and then after that, you get a letter saying that your case is not eligible, blah 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 blah. And
Well,
Indiana,
it said that it could take up to 90 days, but then it took like
oh,
2 or 3 weeks.
yeah, in 3 weeks you'll get something back in the mail stating that that your case has been dismissed and that they're not going to do nothing with it. And so long,
And they
farewell.
voted not to even hear it.
Oh, I know. They do that with everybody. They I think they have a total of four assistants, and I think
Oh, wow.
and I think it's three paralegals and then one regular intern.
Oh, interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah, they're they don't. The commission is useless here in Indiana, and but I will
Yeah.
say this: if they want to go after somebody, they will. Right, Johannes.
Yeah.
Look how they went after Doug. Look how they went after several, small town, small,
And what's the other?
And
And
Doug
what's the person that
Bernanke
they
was
seem
a
to have
good
the eye
guy
on right
too. He
now?
was,
Reyes, right?
say that again, Chris.
And it seems like they have the target on Reyes. Am I saying that right?
Who's Reyes?
Or Aria Is something like where she wrote like a 14-page reply to
Are they?
Adrian did.
Did they take away her law license or what?
No.
Okay, so the commission, what we're talking about is if the commission wants to go after somebody, they go after attorneys and they take away their law license. The attorneys
Right.
or judges they don't like, that's what the commission does. They're very well known for that here in
Right,
Indiana.
but if you look at some of their cases, like it's published, like what their decision is, right? It'll say on the case of, and then you click on the name, and it'll tell you like what they did and what the penalty
Oh,
is.
are you
And it just
talking
seems
about?
like they ran like a lot more on less.
Yeah, they do. And are you referring
But
to?
some of those names, like if you look at it and you go back like last year, 2024, 23, like some of those names like repeat more than once.
Are you talking about? So when you say Reyes, are you talking about Rakita?
Yes.
Rakita is our attorney general, and they went after him on nothing, pretty much. I know what you're
yeah.
talking about. Yeah, Rakita. He's our
They went
attorney
after
Yeah.
general.
Curtis Hill too
Yeah. Well,
when
they
he was
also
Attorney General.
before they went after Rakita, they also went after our AG at that time, Curtis Hill. I actually know Curtis Hill, and he's a good man. And what they did to him was awful. They do everyone awful. I have not met one person they have not done, kind to. They're a rogue commission, and what this commission likes to do, they like to go after people that won't shoot them in the face because they're cowards and they're scared of the people that actually will shoot them in the face. And that's
Right.
the problem about these commissions. These bureaucrats have been weaponized against the American people, and that's all they do. They just bully us. And the EEOC. I don't know if we should just at this point I feel like we should just get rid of them because
I think so too,
they're
because
not
they don't
helping
really do any good.
anyone.
But see, my case it went all the way up to the top. It went through like 7 or 8 different levels, all the way up to the director or like one of the what do you call them, the chairs.
Yeah.
It went all the way up there, but there's a director of field operations that every time that I got on LinkedIn and I went through and I started like finding people and making connections on LinkedIn and finding out who's who and doing the connections that way. And it seemed like every time that I took 2 steps forward, it was like 5 steps back. And that one name kept popping up all the time. And that person sits on the commission of black men and boys for fair treatment, who oversaw my case. And so I was like, wait a second, what?
So say that again. It's called what? He sat on the commission of what?
Oh, black men and boys.
Very interesting. What's probably and I might get hate for this later. I don't really care. I get hate for
His name
everything.
is Director Cloaklaw. Sorry.
Okay. Well, what probably happened was he probably looked into you and he probably saw that you were white and he's probably like, we're not going to help because I noticed that here in Indianapolis and I don't know what it is, but sometimes we get, if there's a minority that's in, a commission or whatever here in Indiana and somebody that is white or Hispanic or Asian that is actually needing help, they're not going to help them. What they're going to
Well,
do
I
is
mean, yeah, and so
they're going to help their brothers. They're going to help their own people before they help us.
mhm.
And I noticed that. I've experienced
Well,
that here in Indianapolis.
I was gonna say, would that be fair to say, like if I was a different race or a different sex, that my case would have gotten traction a long time ago?
Probably,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. It's just like, oh yeah, white privilege, like we're just gonna keep going the other way. But it seemed like from my investigator, everybody all the way up through the EOC and everybody I talked to was either a white or a black female,
Mhm.
or I didn't talk to a male again until um, the regional level.
Yep.
And even then, it was a black male all the way up through. So I never even talked to a single white
Yep.
male.
Now, just curious, the commission, are they like a group of private attorneys and prosecutors, or are they judges?
Which commission you talking about? You talking about the EEOC? You're talking about the Indiana Commission?
The disciplinary
The
commission.
disciplinary commission that's ran by. So they have. I would say they have probably about 4 African Americans, and the rest are all white. Now he's talking about the EEOC in North Carolina. Is that correct, or South Carolina?
I'm talking about the EOC and the regional office, which is in Savannah.
Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, equal opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
EEOC.
Savannah, and then yeah, and so through Savannah, and then through Atlanta, and then through Washington D.C.
Yeah, because there's a region over there that takes care of that. So they take care of.
Well, they're supposed to, yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to. So they.
I mean, I actually had to call DC a few times and complain that well and file a grievance. And they said, well, "What's your grievance?" I said, "I don't really have a grievance. I just, have a concern. Is there a way that you can check the phone line and the emails because it's been over 6 months and nobody's ever returned my call or email?"
Okay.
So I
And
actually called and put in like an engineering ticket to make sure the phones work.
that is hilarious. Yeah.
Well,
So,
you know.
okay. So, real quick question on the region.
Yeah.
What region did it do? What region did you in the EOC where did you go through, and what does it cover again?
Oh, it covers my part, well, part of Georgia, and then the lower part of the South, like South Carolina, Charleston area.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So that's what it
And then
covers.
through that, and they have like 12 regional offices, and our region is Atlanta.
Okay. Gotcha. Oh,
And
you're
then
in the
through there, it
Atlanta.
went through DC.
Oh, you're in the Atlanta region. That's why you ain't getting no help. That's exactly why. That's like
Touche.
me trying to get help in Indianapolis. Okay, like I ain't getting no help out here. Now,
Yeah.
if I was still in Southern Indiana, absolutely I'd get help. But oh no, not when Indianapolis. Oh goodness, heavens no.
No,
So
no, of course not.
yeah, and they wonder why I go off on them every now and then here because they're lazy. They're lazy.
Accountability, man.
I'm telling you, once once they go into public, once they hold like some type of office here, whether it's federal employee or state employee,
Yep.
that's considered a welfare check to them. They don't do nothing else, and they know that the federal and state government can't fire them because they'll get a big lawsuit,
Well,
big
well,
lawsuit.
it's funny that you say that because my previous employer, before they terminated me, Ambridge Hospitality, you know what they told me? Well, I know that you already know, but
Yeah, you told me, but yeah,
Johan
tell
might
our
not.
viewers, yeah.
They said that if I knew what was good for me and I wanted to keep my career, I would just keep my mouth shut and just keep moving forward. So
Wow.
and to not even consider a lawsuit, or because I would never win against a colored female over 40.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
but all this is like written in email.
And they won't do nothing about it, will they?
I mean, no, they won't. And so I mean, it's been an email back and forth with all the corporate people, and it went through. And I even sent this to Director Myring and the commission as part of my case, and they don't care.
So have you filed a lawsuit with this case?
I have not. My time ran out.
So when did this start?
After the EOC,
What year?
they give you like the right to sue, and you have like 90 days. And I tried to work it out with the company. And by the time that
Okay,
2 year the 90 days came, oh,
Chris,
when?
Chris, Chris.
Yeah.
It's not 90 days. It's usually 2 years.
Oh, well, on the right to sue paperwork, it said 90 days.
On the right to sue paperwork,
Right.
it said 90 days. What they do? Give you if you don't mind me asking, what did they give you a separation package, like a severance package, or what happened?
So I filed a after the colored female over 40 happened. I filed a case internally with the company, with the ethics team. And then 20 minutes later, I went to work. And when I got there, they were in the parking lot waiting for me to terminate me. And there was no separation package. There was no compensation. They didn't give me anything except the pink slip.
Did you sign something stating that you agreed to not, agreed to sue them within 90 days, or what happened?
I did not sign an NDA. No, there was no any kind of agreement like that
Okay, then where do you get the 90-day lawsuit
from the
from?
EOC when they gave the right to sue.
What? The EOC?
Yeah.
No, there's a 2 year. Someone lied to you at the EOC because it's 2 years. That is a well-known
Oh.
thing.
Oh, interesting.
Well,
Call.
I also heard this on the Alex Jones show, and what they do now is they have these, like when you do gig work.
Hmm.
I think employers are doing this too. You don't really sign a contract anymore. You sign the terms of service or terms of employment, and there's so much fine print in these agreements. And in there, if you really look for it, there's a clause where you waive your right to sue.
Like the arbitration clause.
Yeah, and that really needs to be looked into. I think that is a serious issue. A lot of people aren't even aware of this, and it allows these big mega corporations to get away with murder.
Right.
And then what? We can't sue them? No, that
Okay, so
You're absolutely right.
hey, you guys, I just pulled it up. So I guess I'm wrong. It's 90 days, but the other thing is, if you know, it depends on what you complained about then, because there could be other factors that you could sue potentially about this too.
With
Lawsuits.
ADA.
What?
ADA.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm in the
there's other
process
things.
of going
So
going
it
through
really
the
just
ADA for a bogus DUI charge.
now hold on, Johannes. It really just depends on what you complained about through the
Hmm.
EEOC and whatever you did not complain about, you could use that for a lawsuit against the company.
Right.
But remember, I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving legal advice. It's just
Sure, sure, I get you.
FYI. Don't
But
want to
see,
get hit
like,
with something.
the thing is, I probably talked to at least 75, maybe more, attorneys, and nobody wants to touch it.
Yeah, most attorneys won't touch this case because it's a very
Want to go
complicated case.
outside? Come on, baby. You come out. I'll let you out. Here you go. Go on. Yeah, because they see who it's against. Ames
Yeah.
Hospitality, who had like $14 billion in profit last year.
Well, and also they're gonna see that you went against that you took it all the way to the commission, and you went to the EOC. It's a very complicated case, and so yeah, of
They're
course,
like, if all these people said no, then you have no case.
pretty much. But you could
I even
see.
went as far as going back through my attorney list, telling the attorneys like, I know that we were talking about doing it on what is it called, contingency. However, if my case were to win, instead of it being 33 and a third, I'd be happy to give 75%,
Yeah,
and nobody still will touch it.
yeah. The problem is the complexity of this case, but also is, you know, I've always, this is my personal opinion. I'm not, giving any legal advice. It's just my
Yeah, of course, of
personal
course.
experience opinion. I've always noticed when I filed this pro se, as long as I can get it to discovery, I know I win.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. Is you got to get it past all these a bunch of hoops, and I will say this: you just have to hold the ground, and you just have to, be, continuance on this because no lawyer's going to pick it up, and so I strongly believe that you have a case that you could win, but the problem
No,
is
thank you.
that there's no attorney that's going to take it. You got a
Right.
you got a rigged system, so But if it was me, I would file a lawsuit, and I'm pretty good at getting a lot of fees waived. And so as long as and then just make it. My main thing is just make it to discovery. And if you have all the hardcore evidence, that's all you really much need, and you just need to serve them, and that's pretty much all.
Yeah, well, maybe I could use a
I
little
know that.
guidance with that.
I know that in Indiana, but I don't know, what your laws are, where you live at. So, but
Right, right. I get it.
yeah. So I actually have a lawsuit coming up on the 9th against the prosecutor as well too. So,
So interesting.
yeah, I sued the city for arresting me over a tweet for $8.4 million, and now we have a hearing for it. So,
Oh wow.
yeah. So it was crazy because the case was almost going to get thrown out because the prosecutor and the judge knew each other, and so I was able. Oh
Oh.
yeah, it was that crooked. So I was able to get a new special judge for it because I called everyone out in it, and it was insane. It was an insane case. Um,
Yeah.
I am the only person.
Well, I look forward to following it though.
Yeah, I'm the only person here as a pro sayer in Indiana to get two judges to withdraw themselves from a case, and that's unheard of. Very unheard of in Indiana.
Interesting.
Judges do not like to
I want.
withdraw
I
from a
wonder what
case.
their correlation to the commission would be.
A lot of them do have correlations with the commission. It's a club, and we're not invited.
Yeah, so they're basically all in cahoots with each other, basically.
Yeah,
Interesting
yeah.
and unfortunate.
Well, you have to remember it's a corporation. The federal government and the state are a corporation, and local government are all corporation, right? So they're going to do everything they can to protect the corporation.
Right.
So, Johannes, you have any questions for Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
have somebody helping me. Back in March, I was arrested for a DUI, despite the fact that I had nothing to drink.
Oh, you know what?
And
Like when I was talking earlier about the auditor. Have you seen this? I think it was somebody from somewhere in South Carolina. One of the police officers had arrested 9 people for DUI, and all of them not one sip of alcohol.
What?
yeah, I mean, that's my case. I literally blew 0.000 in the breathalyzer twice.
And they
First
still
time in the
took you.
Michigan City Police Station. Second time at the LaPorte County Jail because
You're definitely
you're
targeted.
charged with some kind of alcohol-related offense, whether it's a DUI or public
So with
intoxication.
that, I bet they were trying to do that so that you would resist arrest or that you would do something so that they could add something on to that. It
Oh
sounds like
no!
you were definitely targeted.
Oh, I was clearly targeted because I was a candidate for Indiana State Senate 2 years ago as a
Yeah.
Republican, and I'm planning to run
Uh,
again next year for that same seat. And the mayor of Michigan City is a hardcore left-wing black woman
uh,
who's plotting against all the Republicans in the area.
she's scared.
See, and she's also targeting a good friend of mine who was my campaign chairman.
Oh,
It's very difficult for him to run his construction business in Michigan City. He's not buying any. He flips houses, and he's not buying any more property in Michigan City until we either this bitch is unelected or we get her to
on
step down
something.
from the office with some. And when people heard about my arrest, I
Yeah.
mean, that cop pissed off practically the
Well,
entire MAGA crowd in
yeah.
Northwest
Well, I'm
Indiana.
sorry that happened to you.
And 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 when we showed up in court on May 9th for initial
Right.
proceedings, I filled 2 rows.
Oh,
Yeah, he brought all his
And
friends there.
well, I wish I could have been there.
He brought all his friends.
well, I mean, one of the people, okay, and the judge, I really don't trust her. And I have a bench trial coming up on the 25th of July. And this judge's husband is like a real hotshot lawyer in LaPorte County.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also head of the LaPorte County Democratic Party.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
It's a
And,
small world, isn't it?
well, here's the thing. One of the people that supports me basically runs the LaPorte County GOP behind the scenes.
Ah,
And he showed up in her courtroom. So she knows very well she's being watched.
oh yeah, for sure.
So if she makes
Wow.
one wrong move on the 25th of July, there are going to be a whole bunch of us going to the Judicial Disciplinary Commission to file ethics complaints against her.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I do have a good attorney. My attorney is really good about, he's like the top DUI attorney in LaPorte County.
Yeah, but you shouldn't even have to have one. This whole thing is just bogus.
It's ridiculous. And then
You should be able to sue for a
cop
waste of
did
your
not
time.
like the way my eyes looked. Okay.
Yeah.
So he said I was on drugs. So then they took me to the hospital for one of those blood tests.
Mm-hmm.
It could take up to 6 months to get the results. And when I read the police report, okay, the officer states that that he is that his body cam's battery went out while at the hospital, so he had to
Oh,
quote
of course
end the
it did.
investigation, unquote. So I have a concern that because the phlebotomist gives the vials back to the police officer, I have a concern that he may have planted something or swapped out the samples. And the same friend who's helping me get into get the ADA complaint going, because
Right.
my eyes are the way they are because I had 2 surgeries when I was a kid,
Okay.
because I was born severely cross-eyed. So, back in the 70s, the way they cured cross-eyed problems was they did a type of surgery on your eyes called an eye muscle corrective surgery. So what they would do is they would cut in and cut muscle to shorten the eye to keep it from moving behind the nose bone.
Oh, how
And
interesting.
yeah, one surgery I had when I was like 1 or 2 years old in Jackson Park Hospital in 1972 or 73. The second surgery was on my right eye again because that was the one that was the worst. So that one barely moves because it has a very short muscle because they had to cut so much of it off.
Yeah, this is
And that
definitely an
second
ADA
hospital,
violation big time.
huh?
Definitely an ADA violation big time.
And the cop also did not like the way I walked because, I walk with a limp because I have osteoarthritis.
Well, at this point,
in
they're
my
just
knees.
trying to get you for whatever they can.
Yeah.
Laying it on thick.
And this cop is a young punk.
Somebody
He's
put him up to it.
barely 24 years old if he's that old. Okay. And I found out that he's an Eagle Scout. So, being a former Boy Scout myself, I never made it up to Eagle. I made it as far as Star. I actually called the Boy Scouts of America to inquire about getting his Eagle rank revoked. So now what I want to do is I want to get myself acquitted and get that son of a bitch charged with perjury because he perjured himself all over that police report. And if
I
I
bet
can
you're
get
not
him
the only
convicted
one.
of perjury, they'll take the Eagle Scout rank away from him.
Yeah, and you're definitely not the only one that he's probably done that to.
Oh, I'm sure I'm not.
Your attorney will uncover all that.
You see, this cop
I heard
works
that there's a
full
thing
time for
like
the
if you ask
Michigan
for the
City Police
jacket.
Department. This cop works full time for the Michigan City Police Department.
Okay.
And he also works part time for the Long Beach Police Department, which is owned by the town of Long Beach, but the town of Michiana Shores, where I live, contracts the Long Beach Police Department. And he was bragging to the neighbors, one of my neighbors, about how he can tell somebody's been on drugs just by looking at their eyes. And he's like this so-called expert. and he's basically won. He was issued the Unsung Hero Award in 2023 by former Governor Eric Holcomb.
Yeah, somebody
And,
definitely put him up to coming after you.
well, he messed with the wrong guy. I'm coming after him.
Hell yeah. I can't wait to see what happens.
I mean, he
I'm definitely
really
going to be following your case
has
too.
no idea what kind of fighter I am.
I see
He's
it on
about
your
to
face.
find out.
I see it on your face.
Yeah, Johannes is a fighter, that's for sure. I've seen him, you know, I've seen the local government abuse, him and his dad, over the most ridiculous stuff. They've also went after we mentioned his name earlier, Doug Bernanke, who's a former attorney here, and the state of Indiana and the local parts of it are just corrupt. And especially northern Indiana, they act like Chicago, right, Johannes?
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
You see, I've known Doug Bernanke since I was knee high to a grasshopper,
Oh,
and
yeah.
my dad's been involved with Michiana Shores town politics since I was a small child. He was on the BZA. He was building commissioner for a while. He was on the town council. He was
Yeah.
town president. He did so much for Michiana Shores.
Oh.
He even got Michiana Shores, the sister town in France of Brienne-sur-Aisne, because he's French, and that's why I speak French. Um, and uh, and so Doug Bernanke was our town attorney for quite some time,
Yeah.
and my dad actually did in the 80s. My dad actually did the comprehensive plan for Michiana Shores, and Doug Bernanke helped him with it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, well, I definitely look forward to following both of you guys' cases.
Well,
And I'm sorry that everything happened the way that it has for both of you.
Well, my dad's going to be 86 in August, so he's not really involved in politics anymore. But
Well, I'm still sure he's your number one fan, though.
Well, we appreciate
oh, I'm
it.
sure he is. Yeah.
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 But yeah, we just come to learn that Indiana is just corrupt, right, Johannes?
Very corrupt.
It doesn't matter what party you are, or who you are. If they want to come after you, they will, and they'll swing hard.
And you know, I've learned in Indiana alone, 40% of DUI cases get acquitted simply because of lack of evidence. So the DUI laws really need to be changed. And we got to get rid of these ridiculous field sobriety tests. You know, these tests make you do these stupid things that even a normal person in everyday life wouldn't do. Okay. And somebody who has osteoarthritis in their knees, how the hell are they able to do those tests?
Well, one of my favorites is say your ABCs start with, and they pick a random letter and they say,
oh, they didn't even do that. I would have been able to do that. They didn't even have me do that.
But no, they say you can do your ABCs, but don't sing it.
Huh?
They say your ABCs, but don't sing it.
Interesting.
Say it what? How they say it?
Yeah, say your ABCs, but don't sing it.
But don't sing it.
Don't
say
sing
your
it.
ABCs, but don't say it or sing it, right?
Don't sing it. Yeah, no. A, B, C, D, E. Like, no.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, no singing.
Hey, I can even do it with Cyrillic letters and Georgian letters. So I speak 6 languages fluently.
Johannes, you know like how to speak like 6 languages fluently?
Yeah, and I know how to cuss in 40 different languages.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll never forget, we were working together on a campaign down in Kentucky. And he learned how to pick up, what was it? What was that language?
I was teaching myself Hindi so I can deal with the phone scammers.
Oh.
Yeah,
so they'll call our house. See, they target elderly people. So they're calling our house. They're posing like they're from Medicare or they're from some kind of Food Flex card or whatever. They or some mortgage company. So they'll call and they'll use an American name. They'll be like, "Hello, my name is Michael. I'm calling from Medicare, and the reason I'm calling, so I'll answer them back in Hindi. I'll tell them, तुम Medicare में नहीं है, तुम scammer है mother chode." And completely
they're like,
catches them off guard. and then
Oh, that's perfect.
they'll start like cussing me out in both English and Hindi. Or one
That's
time, this
hilarious.
guy calls. Yes, my name is Carl. I'm calling from Medicare, and I want to talk about the Medicare benefits that you are not receiving. And I'm like, तुम Medicare में नहीं है, तुम scammer है, mother chode. Sir, no, I'm not a scammer. Hey, mother chode. मैं अभी बारात में जा रहा हूँ, लेकिन तेरी माँ चोदूंगा. वो मेरा लान पे चढ़ेंगी. Sir, you really need to learn the manners. You are saying very bad things. Why are you abusing me? And then I'm like, तुम बोजारी के बेन किलो और मैं तेरी माँ की चूत. And they're like, and then finally, one guy, one guy even told me he wanted to f my sister. The
Oh.
funniest thing is, I don't even have a sister.
Oh man.
But that's the thing. They, you know, that
Well, guys,
It's
don't
been
let me keep you, but
yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming on,
I'm sure you
Commission.
have some other things that you guys would like to discuss. I don't want to use up all your time.
No, we
Um,
appreciate you coming on tonight and telling your story. And
yeah, man.
I'll definitely get in touch with you to see if we can get more copies and do an article maybe to
All
do
right, perfect. That sounds great. I look forward to it, and I look forward to following both of your cases.
Okay, sounds good,
oh yeah,
Commission.
well it'll make the papers. That I can guarantee you.
Yeah, yeah. So
All right. I look forward to it.
okay, well we'll talk to you later,
Call me
Commission.
back anytime, guys.
All right,
Talk to
will
you
do.
later.
Have a great night.
All
Okay,
right.
bye.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
I'm like,
Okay, here we go, Johannes. Let me get this thing straightened out.
yeah, that was interesting. And I think these arbitration clauses. I mean, that should be illegal
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely.
these companies, if they, but that doesn't mean, you know,
Johannes, hold on.
there has to be some ground rules.
This thing's freaking stuck. Yeah,
What's going on?
hold on. Okay, you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
All right, I'm not able to have it perfect, but it'll do for now. But yeah, it's this system. You know, the problem is they only have like a few systems that you can really use, and it just oh my goodness, it really just sucks. This thing sucks. So I don't know. How I know by fall we should have a new system. I'm not dealing with this system again. Ain't happening. So, but thank goodness we'll have that. All right. What I wanted to bring up as well, but I don't know if I can get it over here. All right. So let's see. Okay. No, stop. This system's a piece of crap. I hate this system so much.
Gabe, what you need to do is get a system where you can have a document cam.
A what?
A document cam.
Oh, okay.
So you can, like, when we're talking about a particular case or something in the news, you can show what other media are saying and stuff.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, I
Alex,
wanted to do that. I know.
Alex Jones does that.
Well, that's what we're doing right now. We're going to be talking about the candidates running for office tonight. So I'm pulling up a news article for it too, so our viewers get to see it. If it'll work, that'll be nice. If it works, God, what a piece of
Yeah,
crap.
hold on. Let me fill up my cup of water. I'm getting really thirsty.
Okay.
Oh, oh.
Well, remember we're still live, Johannes.
All right, 1 second.
All right. Okay.
I probably drink more water than the average person.
Oh,
Yes,
that's better than nothing.
well, I guess that's something for about diabetics. We drink a lot of water. I had a marzipan brot earlier, and I probably shouldn't have had that because that was Probably loaded with sugar.
Okay, hold on, Johannes.
All right.
Okay, there we go. If we can get this to work, that would be nice. I don't know. We shall see. Yeah, we're not using this system anymore. This system is jack fucking crap.
Yeah. It's Microsoft. What do you expect?
No, it's not that. It's the OBS server. They fucking suck.
Billy Boy Gates.
No, Bill Gates had nothing to do with this one, even though he sucks too.
Yeah, he's baby killer.
This thing's such a piece of crap. Good freaking lord. Well, okay then. Fuck you too, bitch. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so we have here are the candidates that we're going to be talking about. One's a potential, but the other two are running against Diego Morales. Okay, for the 2026 Secretary of State. Here we go. Yada yada yada. Okay, so Indiana is going to be gearing up for the 2026 election cycle for the race of the Secretary of State. Okay, with incumbent Diego Morales already facing challenges from announced candidates and a possible contender. We have Knox County Clerk David Shelton, a conservative activist. Jamie Rittenhauer has thrown her hat in the ring this past weekend. And then the media is pushing Andrew Ireland, who just was elected last year. I don't really see Ireland winning. He should just honestly stay as a state representative because he's very, very new and he's probably going to get his ASS whooped in the convention. Just saying. He's very, very new, so I would not be too cocky because he will lose his seat no matter what. So, um,
Yeah.
Johannes, what are you met David Shelton and Jamie Rittenhauer? Tell us what your experience with them were.
Well, I mean, I really like a lot of the things that David Shelton had to say. Um, was pretty straightforward.
You met Jamie Rittenhauer too?
And Jamie Rittenhauer, I like her. I think she's got some good ideas. I don't know how qualified she is for Secretary of State. She would have been excellent as governor, I think. She would be excellent as a state representative or a state senator. I mean, she's spot on when it comes to education. But I mean, those aren't the qualifications for Secretary of State.
Yeah.
I think I think David Shelton has more experience um, uh, with being able to run the Secretary of State's office than Jamie Rittenauer. I like Diego Morales too, but I'm really disappointed that he didn't do much.
I know.
I mean, he went overseas an awful lot. I don't know what purpose that served.
Well, the purpose was for Diego. Um, the purpose was for Diego to boost up, relationships, partnerships, business ships. Well, not business ships, but you know what I mean. Business partnerships. Just numerous.
Okay, well then that would make sense because the Secretary of State's office is also in charge of
Of business.
articles of incorporation. I mean, when I have a C corporation, and when you form a corporation, whether it's an LLC, whether it's a C corp, whether it's an S corp, whether it's an LP, which LPs are mostly law firms and financial firms, um, you have to file an S4 with the IRS on the federal level, and then you have to get articles of incorporation in your respective states, and that's part of the job of the Secretary of State. So, I get that Diego Morales could benefit Indiana from going overseas, but I think he went a little overkill on it.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, going to CPAC in Hungary, I think that's okay, but constantly, I mean, he's the Secretary of State for Indiana. He's not the U.S. Secretary of State
I like how you put that.
because the
I like
U.S.
how you put that.
Secretary of State is our chief diplomat.
Yeah.
But
So
he hasn't really, in my view, he hasn't really put as much focus on the elections as he said he would. We still have open primaries, okay, which is a huge problem because
well, the state
the
legislatures,
Democrats
Johannes.
are crossing into the Republican primary and voting for the weakest candidates so their candidates can win in November.
So
And if we don't get a grip on that, there's not going to be a Republican government left in Indiana. And when you come up to northwestern Indiana, you got the fit factor up here. Okay, you've got you've got people coming in from Illinois, from the most liberal parts of Illinois, like the Chicago North Shore. They buy up property out here, and they use the motor voter bill to register to vote in Indiana, and they will that basically lets them they don't go back to Illinois and say, look, I'm registered to vote in Indiana. So they're basically able to vote in two states, so to speak. So they can vote for president twice. They can vote for senator twice. I mean, this is a serious problem. And my dad, when he was on the Michiana Shores Town Council, he was investigating this. He even had the state police come in to look into it. And the state police even found evidence of that. And we cross-checked voter rolls, and we need to get a handle on this because if we don't get a handle on this, Indiana is going to be Illinois.
So, Johannes, I want to say one thing is the primaries, the open primaries, that for them to be closed, that falls on the state legislators, and the governor is supposed to sign it into law. So the Secretary of State has no ability or actions to take on that.
Oh, so that has to be done in the General Assembly then.
Yes, but one thing I will say that Diego Morales did campaign on, but never fulfilled, was getting rid of the Dominion systems. He promised
That
us
is a
in
very important issue.
2022 that he was going to get rid of them. That's why. That's one of the reasons why I voted for him in 2022. Also, I couldn't stand Destiny Wells. Destiny Wells, we have listeners and followers who aren't Destiny Wells fans. I'm sorry, I might offend you, but Destiny Wells is a stupid cunt. Okay, she just is. She really just is a spiteful, evil, bitter cunt. And you can take that to the bank too, because she's just one nasty woman, and she's nastier than Hillary Clinton. I don't know where she gets her nastiness, but she's very nasty. Like she even
Is
got
she a Democrat?
yes, but here's the thing: is
Well, that
Johannes.
explains everything
Well,
right
I
there.
know, but check this out, Johannes. Even progressive Democrats hate her as well too. She pissed them
Oh,
off.
really?
Yeah, she pissed her whole base off. She's a very nasty, nasty cunt. Okay, and so like and that her and Holly Sullivan. Okay, Holly, you remember Holly Sullivan?
I remember Holly
Yeah,
Sullivan.
freaking Holly, man. She's a piece of work too, man. She told me she'd make sure I never get on the ballot, and she was right. The very next year, she threw my ass off, little bitch. But you know what? I'll give Holly some credit. One thing is, you can count on her word. If she tells you she's gonna kick you off the ballot, she will, and she told me that. She kept her word. So promises made, promises kept by Holly Sullivan. But
Yeah.
all jokes aside, this is going to be a very, very contested race next year for the Secretary of State's race. And every time there's a contested race with an incumbent, what happens, Johannes?
Well, the incumbent loses.
No, the incumbent wins.
Oh, if it's rigged, yeah.
Oh, so you're saying if it's rigged, Diego's going to win?
Well, no. Diego. Well, Diego's made a lot of enemies,
Yeah, he has.
so he's done something right there, in my view.
Yeah.
If you make enemies, especially on the liberal side, uh, then you know you're doing something right.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the liberal media hates him. Oh gosh, they hate him.
Yeah.
I remember
So that means he's
yeah.
doing something right. If the liberals hate him, he's doing something. He's doing something right.
Well, I remember the saying was, you ain't doing anything right unless if you don't have haters, right? Remember that saying, Johannes?
Exactly.
Yeah, if
And
you don't
Alex
have
Jones
haters,
says
you
that
ain't
too, as
doing
a
your
matter of
job.
fact.
Yeah, again, if you don't have haters, you ain't doing your job. And
Right.
there are certain things that I'm displeased with Diego on. He didn't keep all his campaign promises. But I guess that's every politician. Let's just look at it. Trump said he was going to build the wall and never finish the wall. So he's still working on it
Well,
right now.
he almost finished it. Biden stole the election from Trump.
Yeah, they're giving Trump a lot of hell for Trump reposted something on Truth Social about how Joe Biden was executed in 2020 and they had like a soulless clone, fulfill Biden.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't believe that.
I don't know if they executed him, but I do believe he had clones or doubles or something like that because
Oh, he did have doubles. He
yeah,
did have doubles.
we're gonna put on our tinfoil hats tonight, ladies and gentlemen, for the season finale because Joe Biden, if you look from the pictures from 2000, what was it, 2015, okay, and then you look at the pictures of Joe Biden now, they're not the same Joe Biden, okay, unless he had like a big time, what do you call it, face, face restructure. Nobody loses a quarter inch of their earlobes, okay? Like his earlobes, Johannes, is one of the major things
Yeah.
I notice is because the early pictures of Joe Biden show that the earlobes droop. Okay, if you look at my earlobe, it's gonna droop. If you look at Johannes's earlobe, it's gonna droop. Okay, Joe Biden's ear drooped. Okay, and so when you
Hmm.
see in 2015 and before, way before that, right? But after 2015, 2016, okay, his ears go straight. His earlobes. He don't have any more earlobes. They like connect onto the chin. I mean, not onto the chin, but onto the cheek. Okay, and most people have those type of earlobes. A person that's born with earlobes are gonna have those earlobes to the rest to the day they die. Right, Johannes?
Yeah.
I'm not a
Yeah.
biologist, but human basic human biology would detect that, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Well,
So
here's the thing about Joe Biden. Okay, when he was in office, you could tell when the real Joe Biden was speaking and when it was a lookalike. When the
exactly.
real Joe Biden was speaking, there were all these gaffes. His speech was slurred. You could tell he was senile. Uh, things that he said just didn't make any sense. And when it was his look-alike, it was very articulate, it was very hostile and to the point. Okay. And they decided to swap him out. Like when they decided to make him look like a buffoon, they rolled out the real Joe Biden.
Yep.
But when it was something important, like trying to make Russia look bad, and trying to make those of us questioning the COVID policies look bad, they had a look-alike who would be very articulate. And then, the one thing did you notice when Biden was in the White House, the Oval Office, it was a fake set
Yeah.
for the Oval Office?
Yeah, it was right across the street on Pennsylvania Street where the office was. They had a whole fake studio set up for him.
And
Like
what's all that about? You don't have that with Trump.
you don't have that with any other president. It was just Joe Biden. And
Yeah,
I'm glad that Republicans are going after Joe Biden about elder abuse and also any other Democrat that worked for Joe Biden should be prosecuted and should be thrown in jail because they were lying to the American people, trying to get it in what do you call it?
except for Karine Jean Pierre. I can
Okay.
use her hair to clean my
Oh
toilet.
my goodness.
I
Oh
mean, you look at her
man.
hair. She she looks like she's a giant toilet brush.
She looks like one of them toilet brushes that's already been used at the 7-Eleven shop, okay? You, the Indian employee already ate like four freaking hot dogs with some 2 hour
Oh,
pizza
yeah.
and some reheated what do you call it? Those microwavable burritos and just took a major dump in the employee restroom and clogged it up so bad and had to use this scrub brush, right? And they really and they it
Yeah.
usually probably like cleans the toilet and like maybe like two times every like 6 months, okay? And that toilet
Who
brush,
knows? Maybe her toilet looks like Abdul Shabaz's toilet.
oh, ew. Oh, Cachino, Johannes, Cachino.
I can't help it. I just have a nasty sense of humor.
That's hilarious. Yeah, we'll just say she looks like Abu's toilet brush. So, but yeah, it's just these people should be locked up, put in prison for
Yeah.
lying to the American people about Joe Biden's competence. Okay, that dude had no competence whatsoever. The dude was mentally handicapped, and they wanted to give us Grandpa Joe who had dementia. Oh, let's reelect him. Here's the other thing is I don't understand is why didn't Joe Biden just did not run for re-election and just let the primaries be open.
Well, you know what I think is really catastrophic, though, Gabe, is you got the news that Joe Biden's got prostate cancer.
Oh,
My dad had
he had
prostate cancer.
prostate.
Okay.
Joe Biden had prostate cancer from 2020, from the beginning when he ran. We all
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
They lied to
It's a
us about his
cancer.
health.
It's one of the least aggressive cancers, and it's a cancer that you can catch early.
Prostate cancer.
Yeah.
That's the most
My dad
easiest
had it,
cancer that you can like take care of and get rid of.
and they just let it metastasize. I think that is absolutely horrible to do that to somebody.
Well, here's the thing is Joe. Here's the thing is Johannes. We're probably going to see within the year Joe Biden's going to die.
Probably.
Yeah, I would give it about a year. About a year, he's going to die. And they're putting him out on all these. I don't know if you saw, but no, last week, he was talking at like the memorial services. They're bringing him out to speak, right? And I don't think that's fair, but Joe Biden's going to do what Joe Biden's going to want to do. So, but yeah, it's just you know My thing is this: they're gonna try to do everything they can to salvage his reputation. His reputation's already done. I don't really, understand why, but I guess Joe Biden has a legacy to fulfill. So that's just on
Well,
him.
here's the thing about Joe Biden. He was never intended to be president. He was there to be a placeholder.
Well,
And they were hoping that he would die during his term as president so they could put Kamala Harris in there.
exactly, but he did
And
not
they
die.
also know that Kamala Harris is dumber than a box of rocks. I mean, she laughs like a hyena. That nasty cackle of hers.
I can't stand
Um,
fucking Cackle Harris.
and so so then they get her into place, and they would find a way to take her out. Then who's the next person that's going to take her place? Nasty Nancy Pelosi. That was the original plan, from what I understand. But Joe Biden just did not want to let go.
Well, good. I'm actually okay with Joe Biden, hanging on to the very end. I still question that he should have not ran, but it would have been a lot worse under Kamala Harris. And me as I'll vote for a woman for office for anything, but the president's office is a no-go for any woman that runs. I don't even care if Republicans run a woman. I will not vote for a woman for president of the United States of America because you are holding the nuclear buttons, okay? I'm not going to
Yeah.
hand that over to emotional women. All women are emotional. It is just, it's science, it's facts, it's science, it's biological. You cannot tell me otherwise, okay? I will
There are
vote.
some women that are not over emotional, but it's very rare.
Very rare, very rare. And that's why
I
it
mean, the
matters.
only the only the only women that I know who are effective rulers was Saint Ketevan,
Say,
who was the Queen of Georgia in the 10th century.
say Margaret
She
Thatcher.
was martyred because she was refused to marry the Persian king. Saint Tamar, who was the Queen of Georgia in the 12th century, and her armies managed to defeat the Turks and the Persians simultaneously. Catherine the Great of Russia, who actually got Crimea for Russia during the Crimean War. She was able to get it from the British. And of course, Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
Those are the only four women I know of that were effective rulers.
But America's never had a woman president, and look at the women that we have now, and in my generation, a lot of them. I'm not saying all of them. A lot of them are whores. They're whores. Okay, look,
Yeah,
they're all dancing half
they're either
naked.
whores or they're frustrated thespians.
But
I had a sociology professor that would say that
you know,
when I was in
most of the
college.
women in my generation are half dancing naked on TikTok or, got a OnlyFans, and it's like, do I really want them as president? No. Hell no. Do you want, let's, I don't know if you know her name, but I think it's like, what's her name? Blue Bunny, whatever her hell her name is. Um, and she's had sex with like 1,000 guys already. Do I want that for president? No,
Hell no.
no, because that was almost Kamala Harris.
Well, you got to also understand this, Gabe. When you're running for an elected office, whether you want to be or not, you are a role model.
Exactly.
And there will be a certain group of kids that's going to look up to you. Whether you want that or not, it's going to happen. So that's why when I look at who I'm going to vote for, I, I, I look at their morality.
Yeah.
I look at their morality. And if
Well,
it's somebody who's whoring around, if it's a flaming gay guy, I'm not going to vote for that person because because I know some family who has kids is going to see that politician, and they're going to try to emulate that politician.
yeah.
and that's very important.
Well,
And
Johannes, I'll play devil's advocate and I'll say, morality, you know, Trump doesn't have a lot of morality, but then again, he has a lot more morality than Kamala and Joe Biden ever would. So, but Trump was also, in that
well,
era, in that business,
we're all human beings, and Trump, sure, Trump screwed up early in his life. A lot of people have.
well, he still
I
says
believe he's
nasty things,
repented
but
from it.
here's how I look at it, Johannes. Let me cut
I
you
believe
off.
he's repented from it, and we're all supposed to repent.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if he's repented from it and he's doing good for the country,
Exactly.
to me that's
That's
what
good.
counts.
Yeah. And here's the other thing is, Trump comes from that, mob mentality back in, the New York when they're building all the
Well, in New
skyscrapers.
York, you got to be tough
Oh
anyway.
yeah,
That's a pretty
exactly.
tough society.
Chicago, New York, Indianapolis. You have to be tough, and you have to be tough because you gotta have tough skin in the game. Because if you're not an asshole, you ain't going nowhere in life. Okay, especially in
Right.
Indianapolis. Indianapolis is very, very toxic and very nasty. Okay, and that's and
And New
I
York, even more so.
what
New York, even
Oh
more
yeah,
so, as well as
by a
Chicago.
thousand times. Yeah, you're walking and they're cussing you out and throwing something at you. Same here in Indy. And I've noticed, the last couple of years is, I'm a troll. Okay, I can be, I've been an asshole. Okay, but Indianapolis has taught
And it's
me.
kind of fun to troll certain
Oh yeah,
Democrats, like a
absolutely.
certain Kathy Holland.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Kathy Hollins. Our liberal friend. But Indianapolis has turned me into I can be a very loyal person. And a lot of people have seen that, and some of my close allies throughout the years have noticed that too. I'm a very loyal friend. Okay, I will tell the government to go fuck off at the end of the day. Okay, um, to protect certain people. And one of the other things is that Indianapolis has taught me to be a prick because there are a lot of soulless skinwalkers out here in Indianapolis, and they will walk on you, they will shoot you, they will run you over with your car. They are soulless creatures in Indianapolis. Even public
Yeah.
officials, they're soulless creatures out here. Okay, and so you have to be a
Well,
prick.
it's a Democrat-run city. What do you expect?
Exactly. And it's every man for himself out here in Indy. And so, when people say, oh, Gabe Whitley, he's a fucking prick, or he's an asshole, he's a narcissist. No. I'm, I do acknowledge I can be a prick sometimes. But that falls on the culture here in Indianapolis. I remember when I first came out here, I was coming out here to visit. I asked somebody for directions, and they flipped me off, and they said, fuck you. That's the culture that we live in Indianapolis. And it's still like that today. You can't ask no one for help. I remember you go outside of Indy, and I lived in Evansville. We could pull over and help somebody without getting shot. Okay? You do that here in Indy, you're going to be shot. And they will take your car. They will either come help you, like pretend to help you, and they will take your car and they will shoot you and leave you for dead, or vice versa. That person's probably going to kill you and steal your car if you roll up trying to help them. But you go anywhere else outside of Indianapolis, I would say, besides um, what do you
Oh,
call it?
small town Indiana is a whole different world from Indianapolis.
Oh yeah. Well, I was also going to say, don't
That's where
go.
I sold most of my Cutco at.
Yeah. Well, I was also.
Very good people in small town Indiana.
Well, yes, but also let me talk about this, Johannes. Okay, towns like Gas City. What's that other place near you? Oh, what's
Kokomo?
no, no, it's near you, Johannes. Little Chicago down there, little Gary, Indiana. Okay, you go to those places, you're gonna probably be killed too. Okay, but
Oh
anywhere,
yeah, Gary's a
yeah,
very
Gary's
dangerous
rough.
area.
Gary's rough, but yeah, and Muncie, and Anderson. going to be killed, okay? But everywhere else, you can be fine, okay? You can
I
drive
didn't know
down the.
Gas City was dangerous though.
Gas City is a little bit, they a little bit rough. They're a little bit rough. They're not too bad, but people still get killed out there. But that's the thing. Indianapolis, there was no kindness. I think there's something in the water that makes people angry because I have never met a bunch of soulless, skinless creatures that walk around and just are just so inhumane. So, but
Well,
yeah.
I'll tell you what, I made some good sales when I worked the state fair for Cutco
Oh, I believe
in
that.
Indianapolis,
Yeah,
but they weren't people from Indianapolis.
no, they're outside of Indy.
Outside, Johnson County, like
That's a good county.
Franklin, Whitestown,
Yeah, Whitestown's a good county.
Greenfield. Uh, that's where I made my largest sales.
Yeah,
But
they're really good. That's a good place to start.
Within Indy, there was one older couple. I'll never forget them. They lived within Marion County, but they were in a rural part of Indianapolis on the south side there.
Oh, okay.
But they were still within the Beltway. Um,
Okay.
I remember they signed up to have their knives sharpened at the booth, and they had two pit bulls. Okay, so I showed up at their house on schedule, and they were so happy to see me. And as I was getting my sharpener ready, getting all my tools ready to service their knives, she was about to bring her kitchen knives on the table. We were about to talk. She brought the dogs in, and I hear the two dogs go into a room real fast, and there was this thud, and they were both growling at each other. And the lady was like, "Uh oh, what are those two doing over there?" And she comes out and she goes, "Oh my God, you two are bad boys. Howard, get over here." And she was calling for her husband. She walks out holding this gigantic possum by the tail.
Oh, hell no.
One of her pit bulls brought a possum in the house and they were playing with it. And possums like to play dead. So her husband took the possum and put it by the garage, and by the time I was done sharpening her knives, that possum and all.
Just wow. Just wow. Yep. So, well, it is about 12 o'clock, about 11:56. So I think we're just gonna wrap it up. Johannes, you got any last words you want to say until we meet up in the fall?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just hope that everything goes well for you, Gabe,
Well, I appreciate it, Johannes, and yeah,
and you need to call me later to see how we can make arrangements for your
yeah,
dog.
we'll definitely, I'll definitely definitely call you about Monday or Tuesday. But yeah, Johannes, I just want to say that I appreciate you coming every Sunday on the show, and I've learned a lot from you on foreign national politics and recipes, and I always this is our fifth year going on since we've known each other. You've been a loyal friend, and I really do appreciate everything you've done for me over the last 5 years, and I do appreciate you coming on every Sunday and helping us with the show and that type of stuff that will never be forgotten. So
Well, hell, if it weren't for you, I would have never met Rand Paul.
yeah, he's a good dude. He is. He's a very
He's
good
a good
dude.
guy. I like him.
Yeah, yeah,
I like his father too.
yeah. His father's a good guy. His father, I met him
But he's
too.
getting up there in age. He's what, in his 90s now?
Yeah, I know. I met Rand Paul a couple times. He's a good man. He
You
is.
mean Ron Paul?
Yeah, Ron Paul. My bad. Ron Paul. Yeah, I met Ron Paul a couple times, and
Oh,
he's
I'd
getting
love
up
to
there,
meet
but
him.
he's a good man. He will always be the greatest of all times. What the young generation says, the goat, the greatest of all times, and and so I encourage our listeners and our viewers, if you believe in liberty and you believe in less government, you should follow this show. Follow
And the
along.
thing is, Ronald Reagan wanted Ron Paul to be his vice president, and
He should have.
they basically told him, if you don't choose George Herbert Walker Bush, you won't see your inauguration.
Yeah, and they're right because they the establishment and the machine will control you at the end of the day. And if you don't listen to them, they'll throw your ass in jail. So that's what they do to everyone. So,
That
but
or they'll kill you. I
that
mean,
too, yeah, they will kill you. That's one thing they will do. So, but well,
yeah.
I appreciate all of our viewers and listeners coming on and tuning into the show and Johannes, and we brought on another person, and Bob will continue to write articles and help the network as much as we can, and I will do as much as I can. But in the fall, we will start right back up, and we encourage you to come back in the fall too. So we appreciate
All right.
you all, and you all have a good night, and we'll see you in the fall.
All right. We'll see you later, Gabe.